Welcome to Module 4. In this module, we're going to be diving into long-term versus short-term. What strategy is best for me, for my property? How do I handle it? Always want to remind you of that disclosure. Not a licensed attorney, accountant, financial advisor, or licensed individual. I'm just sharing my experience and sharing a lot about short-term rentals. Okay, we're going to talk about some actual performance. So I know everyone always wants to know the number. How much will I make? How much will that? And at the end of the day, it entirely depends on your experience. I'm not saying that you'll make these numbers specifically. This has just been my experience on this property in Salt Lake. So this is a 4-2, meaning a 4-bedroom, 2-bath in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where we're headquartered. So you're going to see some examples from Utah. You've already noticed that. Long-term rents for the specific property are between $1,500 and $1,700 a month. I'm not going to share the specific address. You can't look it up on Google just for privacy's sake. But the mortgage on that property, I'm sharing an example. I want to make sure I clarify this. I'm sharing numbers for an example that's a 4-2 in Salt Lake City. And then I'm talking about the mortgage and things like that cost on a different property that's actually 2 doors away that we just bought last month. So that allows, and that property, it's, as far as a good comp, it's 2 houses away. And so that's our mortgage specifically on that property. So if that gets at all confusing, I will try to be as clear as possible as going through that. So long-term rents for this property would run about $1,500, $1,700 a month. That mortgage, again, is about $1,621. That's what our actual mortgage is. The utilities are an expense that you want to think about when you are running your examples, your comps, and your actual properties. Utilities can get interesting. We've had units in more remote areas, and you have to think about what's available to you. More specifically, we had a property that could only run on propane as a gas source. And it was more expensive than natural gas or electric. And that's something that we had to think about. Are we replacing appliances, or are we just going to pay for propane? So sometimes in utilities, you got to think about what's available to you. Wi-Fi in small towns can be rough. I'm telling you that now. Guests expect good Wi-Fi. As far as the utilities cost of long-term versus short-term, it's really about 6s. Even maybe a little bit less with short-term, because so frequently people come to stay and are only there to sleep. How many times have you said, I'm going to use that hotel pool, and you never do? Right. It's about the same.
Yep.
Utilities you have to provide. I hope you're not paying Netflix for any of your long-term renters. They don't deserve that. They should play their own Netflix, in my opinion, but for short-term rentals, you are going to be providing entertainment to a certain extent, whether that's a deck of cards, a Netflix subscription. We love YouTube TV, so we provide YouTube TV because it allows them to watch that sports game. It allows the flexibility of cable, but also some pre-recorded things like movies, much like Netflix. Also, internet. What's your cost of internet? What's your quality of internet where you are? Those are things you got to think about. Utilities. Sometimes you might have to bump up the internet package for your business guys who are staying, especially small towns where those utilities aren't set up quite so clean.
That was an adjustment for me as I got into the air cash flow strategy, because I've done long-term rentals for years, but as I got into the air cash flow strategy a few years ago, it's so much more about hospitality than long-term rentals are. Long-term rentals is like, I just have to make it safe and livable for you, and then it's your deal, right?
Bring your own furniture, bring your own everything.
Get your own TV. I'm not paying for any of that stuff. But it's so much because your competitor isn't other rental properties. Your competitor, really, direct and indirect, I don't know if I even should be saying this, but is the hospitality industry, the hotels, right? Because you're trying to get people to stay at your property rather than staying at a hotel chain. So you've got to think much more like a hotel than you do in a long-term strategy. And it's interesting to me, and it's the time we live in, right? Is the internet is the most important thing. Like people can deal with, I've had, air cash flow properties where tenants have said, the washer didn't turn on for some reason, but not a big deal, and they gave us a 4 or 5 star review anyway. But if internet goes out, oh man, you have an angry customer.
So I'm going to tell you something. We operated a unit that had no Wi-Fi as an experiment for you at home, for
Yes.
you. Okay? So we were able to take, and I don't have these slides here today, but if you reach out to me, I can drop you those slides as well. But we took the direct comparison, properties that are right next door to each other, no internet, and we can show you the difference, and it's massive, and you don't want to go without internet.
That's awesome. See, you guys at home don't have to take the bruises, right? We've already done it for you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Lauren's here to give you that
And
data.
we did that bruise on purpose
Yeah.
for data's sake. So I hope you enjoy the final result.
So what was go in a little more detail. What was the result there?
So ratings are very important. Ratings are your visibility on the platforms like Airbnb. It's how many bookings you're receiving. That's the importance of ratings, and it's huge. And I would say the ratings on that one, I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. I want to say it's a whole 1 to 5 scale on ratings and a whole 1.8 average lower. So instead of being at 5.0, we were sitting much lower.
Like 3.2.
Like 3.2.
Oh, God.
So the platform kicks you off at about 3.5.
Yeah,
So
not acceptable.
you're not going to be able to operate at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And we can share more details to how exactly that happened and how we got better at messaging and all those things. But we operated one without, and we said, okay, we're going to make this an experience with no Wi-Fi, and it's just not going to go.
Nope.
Not going to go.
So it's worth the $50. Don't be cheap is what you're saying.
Internet. Oh yeah, you are not, and I borrowed this from a friend, and she says it all the time. You are not rich enough to afford cheap things.
Right.
And you're not. And I would encourage
so
you in
good.
your personal
I'm gonna
life as
use
well.
that.
I mean, those expenses, they're expensive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing that I think real estate investors, and especially aspiring real estate investors, need to understand about the real estate investing game is we are creating a product. Yes. At the end of the day, it's not about going in and it's not about the work that you do. It's not about going in and figuring out how much money you can save or what things you can do to the property. At the end of the day, what we're doing and what pays us is the person that comes in and purchases the product that we've created.
Yes.
So don't create a crappy product.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
yes.
if you're in the hospitality industry and you're doing air cash flow properties, that's part of it. People are going to expect internet. They're going to expect certain things. Do those things and do them well, because people will choose your product over someone else's if you've got a quality product.
They always will. They always will. Okay, let's back into that 4-2 in Salt Lake. So this is our actual performance. And I'm not saying you're going to make this exactly. This has been my experience with this property from May 8th, 2019 to December 31st, 2019. So this chart shows you the vacancies. So for example, in the first part, as when you see those low dips, those are vacancies in income per night. So blue is revenue per night. It goes up and down. So this is actually the days that we were vacant, the days that we charged less. All of those are included here. So this is actual data. So later in the slides, I am not going to mention occupancy, where in the comps analysis we set that occupancy at 80% because that's what we were seeing in our examples. This one will not have a line for occupancy because it's our actual data that already has that occupancy factored in. So if we were 100% occupied, maybe the average nightly would have been closer to 180. But because we had some vacancies, our actual average for the year is $143.82 per night. Assuming you do all the work. So this first example we're going to run through, you're managing it, you're cleaning it, which, I mean, we're going to learn is probably not the most scalable way to do things, but we're going to run the numbers that way first.
Yeah, well, and on your first one, yes.
Do it.
Right? Because you can.
Yes.
And it's not a full-time job.
Are you time rich or do you have funds?
Right. And it comes back to the 5 currencies of the wealthy, right? So we talk about that in the mindset class. The most important currency of the wealthy is time. Yep. They will protect time more than anything. And the reason is because we were all given a certain amount of time, and there's nobody on this earth that can give us more time.
Yes.
So it's a currency that once you spend it, it's gone.
Yes.
And you can't get it back. Money, however, through real estate investing, you can spend money to invest in a real estate property, and it will give you back more money theoretically, right?
Yeah.
And we see that happen every single day in our field of work. But money's the least important. Time, knowledge, relationships, credit, and money. When we talk about scalability, I like to suggest that students take the attitude right from the get-go of scaling up or thinking towards their scale-up process. Get your managers in place. However, when you're doing your first one,
and we've been there.
I'm okay with it. Yeah,
we've all been.
Right.
We've slaved.
We've gone through this.
I swung a hammer, and I showed you pictures of what it looked like after. We've
but
gone
not
through
sustainable,
it.
right? Not sustainable in a scalable model.
50th property? No way.
Yeah, or even fifth.
Yeah,
right.
No
I
way.
mean, you get your fifth nightly rental. You get really, if you're planning on growing past 5, by the second or third one, at the very latest, you should figure out your property management. However,
you'll start feeling it too. You'll start feeling it.
Yeah, it's going to start sucking on your time and taking away from your time with your family or your hobbies. However, knowledge is the second currency.
Yeah.
And on your first nightly rental, I would be okay if a student came to me and said, hey, I just want to go through the process so I know what it is.
Yes.
I want to manage this first one by myself, and then as I get 2 or 3, then I'll turn it over to a property management company. I'm so okay with that for the knowledge experience. Yes. So on your first one, it might look like this, but keep in mind, you have to plan for scalability if you're going to build true wealth here. So do the first one this way, and then grow to the moon after that.
And just like you said, I honestly get people asking me every day, why in the world do you tell people exactly what you do? You're a management company. Why won't they just steal everything you do?
I get that question all the time too.
And I am an open book, and I'm giving you everything on purpose because I want you to be able to do it yourself once.
Yeah.
I want you to know the system. I want you to see the value.
Right.
And it pays in dividends. It will always pay off. But people ask, why are you doing this? I'd encourage you to run the first one yourself, because then when I'm talking to you about your 5th property, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I get that same question. In fact, people ask me all the time, why are you teaching people? Why do you do education?
Yeah.
Like, if you've got all these properties and making so much money in real estate investing, why are you doing education? And the answer is, there's a lot of answers to that, right?
Yes, there are.
One of them is money. It's another business. It's another source of income for me. But that's further down on the list. The higher ones are, not to get too much into mindset here, but we talk about in our mindset class, the wealthy mindset is a mindset of abundance.
Yes.
The secrets that we keep us isolated on an island, right?
Yeah.
And we're the only ones that can run our system if it's all a secret.
Yes.
If we have an abundance mindset and we're willing to reach out and say, hey, Lauren, I can teach you something and you can teach me something, and let's work together and collaborate on this, then it becomes something where now you're bringing your entire life of knowledge set, all of your experiences.
Yes.
I'm bringing all of my experiences to the table, and we can create something that's more than the sum of our parts together, more than if we were doing it on our own.
And that's something that I've built a company in a way that I like, and that makes us stand out in that way. Our relationship with our owners is excellent in that way. They come saying, hey, I happen to be good at this. Could we incorporate this? I say, yeah, heck yeah, let's do it. I text you, hey, we just got $100,000 booking. I wish.
Right?
Not in Utah. Sorry. That's more of a New York price.
Right, yep.
But made a couple grand. It's like, hey, we just got a booking that filled our whole month at all the prices that we wanted. Things like that are where we share value as a management company with our owners.
Yes.
We have $100,000 days as a management company. That's why I said that.
That's awesome.
As far as individual owners,
days. Hashtag goals, right?
Hashtag goals. Okay, let's get back into these numbers.
Sorry, tangent.
You can learn exactly. I know, we're good at tangents here. Okay, average nightly price, that was the graph we showed you, 365 days a year. We're saying 365 because those are the actual numbers. If this 4.2 was occupied all the way through, that average would be higher to like 180, but pre-calculated in as our vacancies, the days we charged less, all of that. So that's $52,000 and change a year. So this property, the 4.2 in Salt Lake that I'm referring to, purchased market value, MLS, no special discounts, you didn't flip it yourself, bought, remodeled for $320. Average interest rate at the time of recording is 4.5 in our area. So that brings out your mortgage with taxes in it, to taxes and insurance, to $1,621. Multiply that by 12. you're going to get $19,000. So that's your debt service. So that number in green, $52,000, that is all the money you made on your property. That's your gross. Total revenue gross. Your debt service, so you have to pay the bank every month to have that house, that's $19,000. Your expenses. So expenses are property tax, insurance, utilities, supplies, HOA if you have one. We talked about those a little bit earlier, but those all came out about $400 a month on this property times 12. That's the $4,800 a month. So you're going to take your 52. That's your gross. That's all the money you made. You take out your debt service, your expenses, and you ended up with $28,000 cash flow for a year. On this property. Well, you didn't. I did. So if you divide that by your monthly, the cash flow was $2,000, a little over $2,000 a month. Monthly cash flow. You already took out. You paid your bank. You paid your bills. You walked home with that. What could you do with an extra $2,000 a month?
That's life changing for a lot of people. That's so life changing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, I want to remind you, this example, you're doing the cleaning, you're doing the bookings, you're doing all of that. Most of it you can do from your phone. You can't clean from your phone. You're going to have to show up to do that. But you can work it from your phone.
That would be awesome.
That would be great.
You can come up with an app to do that.
That's next level stuff. You get the Roomba out.
Right?
You get, oh man, yeah, you could get technical, but who's going to take your trash out to the street, Okay, what if you don't want to do all the work? What if you're like, no, man, I got a day job that I love. I'm busy. I have multiple properties. I have another business. You're going to have to hire a cleaner, and you're going to have to get some management in place. So cleaner varies on the price of cleaner, or the city you're in, the size of your unit. Contact local cleaning companies. Ask them what they would charge. Look at listings around you who have already asked cleaners what they'll charge. See what they're charging under their cleaning fee. So you go to checkout, click your days. As an example, you don't actually have to book to see the cleaning fee. Management fees vary. This is something in the industry. This varies widely. Management fees range from 10% to 55%. This is where I've seen it. 55% is spendy. Please don't spend that much. You don't need to.
Yeah, that's unnecessary.
That is unnecessary. 10%, the company that I'm thinking of specifically, it charges 10%, charges that just to list your property, but then they keep taking it every month. But they're not helping you with messaging or cleaning or anything, so they should. Where we're at 20%. 20% management is what we charge to do a full service job with cleaners.
And that's very fair, because I've worked with, you're my primary source now, but I've worked with other management companies in the past, and that for what you guys provide, that's such a value, because I've been charged 18% for half of what you guys are providing as a service.
Yep.
So that is for the air cash flow industry, that is so fair.
Yeah, and people get hung up on, but long term is between 6 and 11%, depending on how many units and what you're doing.
They're not going and cleaning it.
No, they don't. Like you said,
inventory and bookings.
The long term market is you set it and you check your mailbox, and that's what it does.
It's a completely different animal.
Different game. You can't compare them at all. This has a lot of numbers on it. Let me walk you through exactly. So, if you're having it managed, you're not showing up to clean it, you're not checking your phone. That $52,000, that's our gross income on the property. You take out your debt service, because in this example, you bought it with credit with a mortgage and a down payment. Very traditional way to buy, if you will. And that's $19,000. You took out those expenses. That was your property tax. Everything shown in white and gray here. And then you add those costs at the bottom. So management, 20%. And then your cleaning as well. So cleaning, we do as a management company as a pass-through cost. So your guests booking pay your cleaning. You're not paying us additional for cleaning. They pay for it. We pay them the exact amount that the guests pay, just washes straight through. So every management company is different. So look at how they handle cleanings. The cleaner on this property in a year made $8,000, which is great. If you could provide a family member, if you could provide a neighbor with $8,000 to clean your property, a professional cleaner is great too. I would suggest that. But if you want to add value to people around you, go for it. So here's what it all boils down to. You have your gross. You take out all your expenses, including management and cleaning, and you have $11,000 in a year. You have $918. This is an MLS property, full rate. You bought it. It was already remodeled, already taken care of, fully managed. You don't have to show up for anything, and it's cash flowing $918 a month. It's the only strategy I know of that allows you to do this.
Absolutely. And that's those are the experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
Hiring good property managers, and we talked about this before we started recording. This class I felt was so important, and we have our cash flow class that talks about the investing side, how to find them, how to negotiate them,
Yes.
how to go negotiate leases to where you don't even have to own the property.
Oh my gosh.
But
That's my slide. You just stole my next
I'm
slide.
sorry.
It's all the what ifs that keep going.
No, that's what is so awesome about this, is that a service provider like you makes this so close to truly passive.
Yes.
That it's awesome. And because of the way that the air cash flow market and the prices and that you can charge and all those things, the cash flow is almost unbelievable. Yes. On some of these properties. So it becomes a truly passive thing if you've got aces in their places.
Yes, and that education is so key. And you mentioned that before too. Okay, these are your ideas. What if I purchased undervalue? What if you have the education and skills from what you've learned in the previous courses to buy a property undervalue? Okay, cash flow goes up.
Yep.
What if you're going to fix it up a little bit? What if you're going to buy an undervalue and then you got some skills, either personally or you have contacts or you've learned what to change to fix it up? Cash flow goes up. Okay, what if I already have long-term rentals and I paid that down a little bit? Now it's a little bit cheaper. What if I got a mortgage when mortgages were maybe cheaper, right? Yeah. That price was, you have some equity in your property. Convert it to short-term. What if you did that? Cash flow goes up. What, can I use multifamily units? Because per unit, those are cheaper, right? I mean, if you do it right, they are.
yeah, right.
Yeah, cash flow goes up.
But follow the rules. I learned that on the multifamily.
Oh, always.
Be transparent with the property management company. Follow the rules.
Always.
But, it's funny, just quick comment. I've done all these things.
Yeah.
Like I had, air cash flow is a backup strategy in almost every one of my other strategies, right? I've turned failed fix and flips, and when I say failed, it was beautiful, but it didn't sell. We had it on the market for like 90 days, just didn't sell. We didn't even get an offer on it, right? And that happens sometimes. I mean, I consider myself an expert at fixing and flipping because I've done it so much, and usually we pump them out, and they fly off the shelves, and we're making money, right? But every now and then you get that one property where something happened and it's just not selling. Your numbers were wrong or whatever the case might be. You've got to be prepared for that. And I talk about in almost every class, so important to have backup plans. Air cash flow is a great primary strategy, but it's also a great backup strategy because you can turn a fix and flip into an air cash flow property.
Yes.
I've done it with a rental. I've done it with a rental property where for some reason it just wouldn't rent out long term. Yeah. That's the exception, not the rule. Most of my rental properties rent out because I follow the systems that we've created. But sometimes you have that fluke, and it turned into a great air cash flow strategy.
And as an educated investor, it's about the tools in your toolbox, the arrows in your quiver. And the more you have, the better all-around business you will be.
Yeah. It's going to be really hard to screw in a screw if all you have is a hammer.
Yeah.
Right? So, the more tools in your toolbox you can have, the better, and that comes from knowledge and education.
Yes.
So, it's a good thing you're here today as a student because you're going to be so much further ahead than everybody else that's out there just trying to bootstrap it.
You will be, and that's worth everything. Well, thanks. That was an amazing module. Thanks for wrapping up Module 4 with you, and we will see you in Module 5.